Good Tuesday to you, everybody. Incom 651, cross listed 751. Welcome to week. Ba-boom. Boo. How you doing? Well, nice long weekend. A lot going on, especially yesterday. Blink, blink, yow. But before we get into that and this week's assignment and last week's stuff, let's get our priorities in order. Actually, a little tea here this afternoon because I am sufficiently caffeinated. Earl Grey to be specific. And what do we have here by way of cups? The Great Smoky Mountain National Park cup. For any of you who had me before, you know I am a coffee cup aficionado. Yeah, there's something about the tactile nature of the cup. I mean, notwithstanding the fact that I'm usually found with a hot drink in my hand, coffee or tea, although keep the caffeine consumption, within reasonable limits. So I'm handling a cup, and when I go places, and I particularly like going out on trail, do a lot of backpacking, a lot of wilderness trekking, mountain climbing. I like to come back with a cup. Mm. If you've never been to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, I highly encourage you to go. And if you're able, that is, if you have the equipment or the skills, get into the backcountry. It's some unique topography, very unique. Okay, let's talk public relations. So what we normally do here in this class is I'll talk about what we're going to be doing this week, and then I'll take a look back at what you did last week, usually the discussion questions, or if there's an assignment that we did, we go over that. Okay, so last week, all of you, I believe you did completed the syllabus quiz. Now, normally this is just to see that you're not a robot and you're there. And I don't make up the quiz, by the way. But this time around, I gave each, and usually it's a no point thing. You just have to take it occasionally. This time around, I gave each of the 4 questions a point. So if you took it, there you go. You have four free points. Whoa, in the bag just to start the semester. All right. And if you haven't taken that, as I said last week, the office of the registrar's office is going to start to disenroll you from the class. If anything like that comes up, if you get a notice from the registrar saying, hey, are you participating? Are you actually in this class? We're going to disenroll you. You need to notify me, because then I need to go into another form and another part of the Regent system and say, yep, nope, this person's actually participating and is here. So if something like that comes up, get in touch with me ASAP. And as I mentioned in the video last week, and I will reiterate again, if you email me, please use the email the Canvas module, or email me through Canvas. I mean, my email address is the same. Don't go directly to Outlook, all right, because keeping everything in Canvas helps me keep all my emails straight. And as such, the chances of you hearing from me sooner rather than later, because if you send it like to through Microsoft Outlook, or even through, some people send me through Gmail, I might not see your email. Okay. So give me some love. Do that. All right. All right. Also, last week I posted, excuse me, a little bit of a tickle in my nose. I posted your first assignment, which is due on the 10th of February. Remember, from the syllabus, you have 4 PR presentations in this class. This is PR presentation number 1. If you haven't done so already, get a hold of that sheet. You can print it out. I guess it's not a uploaded document, so you can do like a screen capture or something. But let me go over it very quickly. Okay, so for each of these 4 exercises, the first thing you always need to do is carefully read the instructions and the prompt, and I can't emphasize that enough. The business of PRs we're going to discuss in relationship to the questions that I asked last week is the business of paying attention to detail. Okay, so be very careful to follow the directions. So starting right from the top, your answer should be somewhere between 700 and it should say 1,000, and we're going to amend that right now. I think I typed 100 as an error. Okay, so 700 to 1,000 words. That's roughly, by way of length. What is it? 250 words per double space, 12 font page, that sort of thing. So 3 pages, 4 pages. Okay. Make sure that your answer is somewhere there in that neighborhood. Now, I have to be very honest with you. I dislike page lengths, saying, well, it must be this or it must be that. And the reason for that is, I want you to get into the habit of approaching, whether it's assignments or work. If you go on to do PR work on your own, the presentation is done when it's done. And that may sound squishy and vague, but that's the truth. The presentation is done when it's done. So for something, in which you're going to cover what's down here in the prompt, if I were doing it, it would be at least 2.5, probably 3 pages at a minimum. All right. And this does not count your references. FYI. Okay, so 750 to 1,000 words, not 100. I've since corrected that mistake. Okay. In terms of format, okay, use APA, the 7th edition format. For those of you who are not familiar with APA format, look, there are a lot of ways to cite things when you're writing up a document. There's Chicago Manual Style, there's Turabian, there's APA, there's AP, which is used among journalists. All right. As it may happen in your communication/writing career, you're going to be expected to use different style formats. I'll be very honest with you. I have just a bugger of a time keeping these things straight. So I use online style correctors. I mean, it's not like I don't have any clue and I just start banging away on the keys. I do. But in terms of the particulars, like, where does, how exactly does a citation? I write in so many different areas. I work as a journalist, so that's AP. I'll often do historical research for people. Do popular writing. So just look it up, okay? But you have to accustom yourself to adopting whatever style the document is calling for, and it may be APA, it may be AP, it may be Chicago, whatever. Just get used to it, okay? Please save your finished paper in PDF format. Don't send me Word docs, because I don't know why Canvas, it says it takes all these different file formats. It doesn't. Sometimes it throws a fit and I can't see anything when I open your assignment. So whatever you work in, if you're on a PC or a Mac, convert the final product into PDF and upload it. This assignment's worth 150 points. It's due on February 10th, which is what, like a good stretch from now, 20 days. Okay, so here is the prompt. Let's go over this very quickly. You have been hired by a public relations firm and assigned to your first account, the online outdoor clothing and equipment company Backcountry. Backcountry sales have been lagging. This is an extremely common story if you get into the private sector for public relations. And it needs to develop a new public relations strategy as a precursor to a new campaign ad, right? So this is also very common. In fact, the public relations strategy becomes the campaign ad. All right, this is why we're here. We care about you. We connect with hikers. We support Peruvian rope makers, because they do climbing or whatever. All right, it's PR as ads. In a briefing about Backcountry and its needs, you find that not much initial research has been conducted concerning Backcountry's position in the market. and the perception of it among consumers. In conducting your initial research, you find the following about Backcountry. And I've given you 2 links per these major categories. Some perceptions about the company within the outdoor community, here and here. Some recent developments in the financial future of the company, or financial matters of the company. The company knows that it needs to increase sales, but many of its concepts and ideas are murky and not well defined. You will meet with a team from Backcountry in 2 weeks. How would you establish the need for research programs? Okay, so this exercise presupposes that research needs to be done. This company knows they're just not selling. They don't know why, and they haven't gathered data. I mean, besides, we have all this stuff, we offer this stuff, nobody buys this stuff, right? That's not data. That's end result process. Buy stuff, advertise stuff, no buy stuff. Okay. The data that they're looking for is why. Why is nobody buying our stuff? Okay. How would you establish the need for a research program? So, part of what you're doing in this write-up is you're making the case to the Backcountry team why they need a research program. Using what you haven't covered about the Backcountry, the market, and perceptions about it, what would you tell Backcountry about the relationship between public relations and the need for research? Okay. So look at the stories and the comments. I think one of them goes to a Reddit thread at the end of the links and say, hey, this is what people are saying about you. This is what your financial reality is. Here's why you need to do more research. What specific kinds of questions would you seek to answer? Now, this means about the company, not answer in your back and forth with the team from Backcountry. Okay, just want to make that part clear. Which method, quantitative, qualitative, or both, would you suggest that Backcountry consider? Why? How would you introduce the concept of best practices in your pitch to Backcountry? In writing up your strategy for your meeting with Backcountry, assume that the finished document will be for internal office use only. In other words, you could feel free in this document to say, yeah, I looked at some of the perceptions of Backcountry, and this is what people are saying. This is a problem for them. This is a strength for them. I don't want to give away what the links take you to. It seems that they're doing this. That's not in their best interest. Okay. So this happens a lot with PR. That is, you might do a write-up that you talk about within the office, but there are things in there that, you may or may not want to confront the client with, or you may or may not want to confront them in the way that you put them in the internal document. You're just very blunt and to the point. Okay. And then meeting with the client, you want to be more nuanced maybe about making the point. You don't want to say, oh, hey, by the way, I've been looking at your public image and you're screwed. You want to be a little more subtle in what you do. Okay, so this is an internal document. You can be as blunt as you like, and will not be given to the client. Be sure to cite all your sources in your write-up. Pay particular attention to scholarly market focus research that can make your case for Backcountry's need for research as a prerequisite to developing a PR strategy. Okay. If you have any questions about that, please do not hesitate to reach out to me by way of email or contact me during my office hour. Righty? Okay, let's take a look at what you did last week by way of questions. Okay. And for this week, the module is up. We took a look last week at why PR. Now we're going to start looking at the how. How do you put together a plan when you're meeting with a client? And this is the chapters 2 through 4 in Scott and Winky. You can use the same sort of layout that she discusses in constructing what it is you would do for your presentation to Backcountry. Okay, see, there's a method in the madness here. All right. And then with with Stacks, there's some ethical considerations. No, actually, I'm sorry. That's with Scott's. There's just a statement in there that I found very curious. I always said I've read it a couple times. Like, what are we to make of this as Christian scholars? So I want you to reflect on that a little bit. Okay. But in terms of the focus, we're going to start looking at how is it that you construct a PR relationship campaign. Okay, let's go back to last week. Take a look at the questions, your answers. Just remember what gets batted about in these discussion questions becomes the source for the questions on the final. So you're going to want to follow along. Okay, question number one. Why, according to your authors, do many who work in PR fear research? Are their fears justified? Hillary, you went last. Let's take you first. According to Stacks, professionals fear research and public relations because the business is evolving and demanding. Research has shifted from informal to formal approaches and is expected to be more specialized to a strategic target demographic. Thus, higher expectations placed on professionals to prove with thorough evidence that they are indeed strengthening the research of their clients and their proposed campaign. Exactly. What's happened is that the market has gotten very demographic focused, and it's not, oh, I have a hunch and this is what I feel. That isn't cutting it anymore. I can tell you the driver, why this change, what has happened. It's the same thing that changed the advertising landscape across the internet, and that's Google. Prior to Google, and there's a fantastic book called The Search that you should look up and read, and you can get it. It's been out for a while now. You can get it on Amazon, but it's by a guy named Bartel, and it is a book that chronicles the beginning of Google. Now, this guy, Scott, not Bartel, excuse me, Battelle, Battelle, John Battelle. He's the former head of the magazine Wired, and he wrote this book. Again, it's been out for a while, but it is an excellent read. And he had a chance to sit down with the founders of Google, Sergey Brin and Page, whose first name I don't remember right at the top of my head. And it tells you how search engines came about, what they were designed to do initially, and what they do now. And I will make the case that if you're going to be involved in communication, you need to understand this history and the operation of these devices. All right. And one of the main focuses of the book, because the full title of the book is The Search: How Google and Its Rivals Rewrote the Rules of Business and Transformed Our Culture. One of the main themes is, prior to search engines like Google, advertisers were charged these set fees based on distribution of the publication. So if you bought space in a newspaper, you're an advertiser, you're selling, I don't care, mattresses, and you bought space in a newspaper, you were charged for that space based on the number of papers that were going to be printed. There are usually more papers that go out on a Sunday than, say, on a Monday. Okay. All right. So your ad is in the paper and you're charged this rate for how many papers are printed. But how many of those papers end up in the hands of people? And of the papers that end up in the hands of people, how many people see your mattress ad? How many of these papers that end up in the hands of people, they just pull out the comics section or the horoscope, and then the rest goes into the cat box? You couldn't tell as an advertiser. You could not tell, but you were charged anyway. Along comes Google and Netscape, and Netscape was an early search engine, and others, and they go, whoa, ho, ho, look what we can do. We can tell you exactly how many people see your ad. Oh, and we can tell you exactly how many people click on your ad. Oh, and then, because now they've mined so much data, we can tell you the exact age, sex, income level, zip code, location, shoot, even home address of the people who click on your ads. And forget about that old newspaper stuff. If you advertise with us, we'll only charge you for people who see your ad, or we'll only charge you for people who click on your ad. And advertisers are like, woohoo, because now they were only paying for what was productive for them, not, well, it's in the paper, you got to pay us this much. Okay. That sparked just a stampede of demand for specific research about market demographics. Who are these people? What are their habits? How much money do they make? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of food do they eat? Yabba, yabba, yabba. All right. So this is now, if you're going to get into PR, this is it, man. This is it. And it's only getting faster and more intricate because AI is accelerating a company's ability to accumulate data. And as such, clients are going to demand a higher level of accumulated data, which means more research. So get comfortable with research if you want to do PR. It's just the way it works. Okay. Question number 2. According to the authors, what is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research methodologies? And I kind of suspect you should have this just like anyways. Okay, maybe some of you haven't had a research class yet. Okay, Claire, let's take a look at what you said. Stacks defines quantitative. Quantitative is the objective, systematic, controlled gathering of data. Qualitative research he defines as less controlled and subjective. It's not systematic either in gathering or interpreting data. Qualitative research relies more on the subjective evaluation of the researcher. Yes, and I don't entirely agree with what your author is up to there, because quantitative research can be highly refined. All right. However, one of the major differences is that quantitative research expresses data numerically. Qualitative research tends to, it can also use numbers, but it tends to express data verbally. Okay, both of them are valid expressions of data. All right, but they're just different, and they tend to flip different switches in the brain. There is an unfounded bias in people's brains when it comes to data, and that is that if it's numerical data, the bias, unfounded bias, is that it's truer. In fact, I will, in the announcement here that goes with this video, I'll put a link to a piece that I wrote over my website called How Not to Get Fooled by the Numbers, in which I deal with this precisely. That is, people just assume because it's a number, it must be true. Well, a number is no more true or false than A, the integrity of the researcher producing it, because, people that do research sometimes lie. B, the data that goes into it, because if something, if some number, the end process is 4, and you go, oh, well, it must be 2 plus 2. Well, maybe they counted wrong. Maybe there aren't 2 of these and 2 of these. Maybe there's only 1 of these and 1 of these, but they counted wrong. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. So the output, the number, is only as reliable as the person putting it in and their knowledge as well. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. All right. So it's not true that numerical data is truer than verbal data, but that's a perception. Okay. I'll put the link to the piece. You can read it and tell me what you think. Okay. Question number 3. Using worksheet 1B, teammates. This is from Scott. Identify your strengths and weaknesses of potential team member, a PR proposal. I've read through these. Yes, some of you have some interesting takes. So there's not a right or wrong answer here. But Valerie, let's take a look at you. Strength as a person, as a social worker with substantial experience in care management. My talent includes empathy, problem solving, organizational skills. I specialize in cultivating connections, navigating intricate situations, guarantee timely success. I possess an intimate capacity to perceive overarching context while meticulously addressing specifics. Okay. Okay, but I'm an effective teammate due to my dedication, collaboration. All right, now I'm not picking on you, Valerie, but the part of the worksheet is what would you do then as a teammate? Okay. But here's something interesting. Hot button. I find it challenging to navigate circumstances characterized by insufficient accountability or when colleagues do not communicate effectively. Did you mean by that they don't hit deadlines and they don't tell you why? Is that the implication? I find it exacerbating when individuals fail to honor agreements or undervalue the significance of collaboration. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. There is no right or wrong answer to this question, but that is an interesting response, Valerie. Okay. All right, everybody. Per what I said last time, I try to keep these things around 20 minutes. I say I'm 5 minutes over. All right. So welcome to week 2. Now, as you sort of get into the rhythm of things. Okay. If you have any questions about the first assignment, that is that PR assignment, email to me. I'll be in my office tomorrow because today is Tuesday, so that's Wednesday. All right, and you can contact me then. Make sure that if you didn't, I think you did, but I think maybe one or two of you, if you didn't take the quiz, got to take the quiz because this week, Office of Registrar is going to start sending out nasty emails. All right, they send them to me saying, so-and-so doesn't look like they're active in your class. We're taking them out. Okay, and I can't just go in and push the button and say, oh, no, they're here without you demonstrating that you're here. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your hard work. And I think about you, all of you, and I pray about you. Have a blessed week. Okay. And as always, I will see you on Canvas. Bye-bye.